What's been missing from USC in 2024? Sure, that's the question. What's been missing?
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Hulkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC. It's part of the Locked On Network, your first listen every day. Whether you're watching the show on YouTube, wherever you're going to download this podcast, it's going to be free, and you know how much I always appreciate your support. You can get into the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers, you can place $5, and you can get started with $150 in bonus bets. If you win, $5 bet, visit FanDuel.com to get started. Besides a consistent passing game and better offensive production, what's been the intangible that's been missing this year from USC? Everyone I know wants to point the finger at Miller Moss. It's been one issue. And then when they're done kicking Miller, they start dogpiling on the offensive line. And both Miller and the O-line deserve, they deserve to be critiqued fairly, not denying that. I think, there's something else that's been missing on the opposite side of the ball. The wide receivers, they're underperforming. They've gotten a little bit better the last couple of games. Remember way back before the season started and how USC's wide receiver room was looking from the outside in at, the best wide receiver groups in the country? And I understood, look, I get it. The core guys were young, but when you're considered the best in your class and it's year number 2, I just don't have a whole lot of latitude for why they haven't performed up to their, I hate the word, expectation, what they're capable of. But here's the thing. I think it goes deeper than the guys underperforming, okay? For me, it's about attitude. It's about discipline. In fact, I agree 100% with what Matt Leinart and Clay Matthews said when both of them were on the Zach Gelb show. Zach Gelb, he has his own radio show on SiriusXM Radio. You can listen to that weekdays from 3 to 6 Eastern during the day. Last week he had on Clay Matthews, who said USC, quote, they need more grit. They need more toughness. Zach this week asked Matt if what his belief level was still in Lincoln Riley after 3 years. He's been on the job at USC. Year 1 was good, and then the last 2 years, really not so much, right? They're really just a middle-of-the-road program. So Matt kind of closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and then he said this. Clay's right. It's a toughness. It's a mindset, and it's a mentality, and that's a culture thing, right? It starts from the top, and that's how you handle your team. Pete was great at that because Pete was a high-energy fun and all of that. But he built a culture of competitiveness and desire to be the best you can be. And that was in competition. That was in practice. That was in everything we did at USC. And that was like we always said when it was the second half or it was the fourth quarter, whether we were blowing someone out or it was close, we always knew that we would finish. And it was always finish. And that's something that USC just has struggled with this year. And sometimes the ball can bounce the other way and you can win all of those close games. Like they are close in that regard, but it is a mentality. And it's a mentality that's missing, in my opinion. And that just needs to change in order for them to be successful. I would say the pulse is like people are frustrated. People want to see better. And I think that's justified. And I think Lincoln would tell you the same thing. You mentioned Jaden Mayaba. Jaden played great last week, and they gave him a little bit of a spark. And I think also just gives the fan base a little bit of a spark to see potentially what USC could be in the future. But, they need to be better. There's no reason to believe, look at the games this year. They should have beat Penn State. They should have beaten Michigan. They should have beat Minnesota. But shoulda isn't going to get it done. Like, you need to figure out how to win those games. And you need to finish how to build a certain level of toughness to win those types of games. And that's just something they don't have yet. End quote. Matt said a mouthful. I mean, can I get an amen from the Trojan congregation? Hey, Pete Arbick asked, how do you do? That part when Matt said, and that just needs to change in order for them to be successful. Okay? Very clear, concise, to the point. Absolutely agree 100%. How do you change that? That's the question. One suggestion: would a commitment to the run game, when Miller was playing quarterback, when he was the starter, would that have helped? Because look, running the ball, that is a mentality, right? It's all about toughness and a mindset. And I really think that was the point that Matt was really underscoring there. I mean, ask yourself this. Why did everyone want Coach Riley to bring Jaden in over Miller during the season to use him in certain packages? Exactly. Because of Jaden's running ability. So what is holding Coach Riley and the team back? I mean, can you learn to develop that type of culture if it's not who you are at the core? I mean, I think you can. And I think, and I'm just, again, this is me speaking, I think Coach Riley could probably get there quicker if he hires an offensive coordinator, play caller, an outside voice, someone who he isn't as familiar with. I'll call him someone who isn't a yes man. Look, I think being a head coach in the Big Ten is a good place to develop that kind of mindset, right? Where they really like to run the ball a lot. But for me, it's so hard to piece together, why the defensive side of the ball has that right attitude and culture. There's so many new faces, coaching staff, through the transfer portal. I mean, the defense has built that certain level of toughness, right? So why does the offense struggle with the head coach and the returning familiarity with all those players? And I'll say it. I don't think Josh Henson is soft. I mean, when you listen to him talk, he's a no nonsense guy. He just tells you how it is. He doesn't try and sugarcoat anything. But I understand he has the title of offensive coordinator, but he's not really the play caller. I mean, he has a say in the game plan. Don't get me wrong. But Coach Riley is the real offensive coordinator. He's a play caller. And that's where the mindset to finish comes from, right? So what kind of message are you sending when you run the ball, 8 straight times and you get the ball inside the 5-yard line? And then all of a sudden you get that itch to throw the ball from the 2-yard line? That's not developing a toughness mindset to finish. I mean, and it's that fine of a line between being average, USC, and probably 3 more wins, right? So if you didn't see it, go check it out. Zach Gelb, Sirius XM Radio. He did a nice interview with Matt Leinart. I read you, about 2 minutes worth of what Matt had to say, which I thought was the most poignant part. He's right. USC's got to find that mentality, that culture, that toughness to finish these close games. Remember Pete Carroll's first year? How many close one possession games they lost? But then all of a sudden, they flipped the switch halfway through the year. They got on a little bit of a winning streak. They won those games. You could see them getting better as the year went along. And yet they took off from there. They lost their bowl game, but from 2002 through 2008, they were the unstoppable force. Nobody, and I mean nobody, was on their level. Nobody. USC needs to find that mentality somehow. That's what's holding them back. I think they've got enough talent, and the talent is actually getting better. Make sure you stick around through the end of the show. I'm going to talk recruiting again at the end of the show in the third segment. In the next segment, I'm going to continue to talk a little bit about discipline and attitude. It's kind of the same tangent of what I'm talking about with this mentality here in the first segment. So stick around. It's the holiday season. Are you trying to find a gift for a group of people? Maybe you like to tailgate with a large group like I do. And, when you tailgate with a large group of friends, family, it makes it hard and expensive to get a gift for everyone. Some of you might even come from a big family. So if you are planning to celebrate the holidays with your tailgate group of friends and you want to surprise them all with something a bit more special, a little bit more meaningful than a bottle of booze, we've got the perfect gift for you. Check this out. Skylight Frame is the touchscreen digital photo frame your whole family will love. Upload thousands of photos with your phone and then watch them appear in seconds. Number one, it's easy to use. Setup takes less than 60 seconds. Number two, you can add new photos straight from your phone from anywhere. It only takes a tap on your phone to send new photos to a frame across the country. It's the fastest and easiest way to keep loved ones in the loop. They'll feel so much more connected to you. Number three, check this out. Use the gift mode. It's a very meaningful, personalized gift. You can preload it with memories without opening the box. Surprise them with old, sentimental photos as soon as it's plugged in. I love stuff like that. Really, the softer side of me, the stuff that makes you kind of feel like you're in a room full of onions, that type of stuff gets to me. And the best part of that, satisfaction is guaranteed. We're confident that you'll love Skylight. We offer a free 120-day return policy. And now, as a special limited time offer for our listeners, you'll get $20 off your purchase of a Skylight frame when you go to skylightframe.com/college. That's SKYLIGHTFRAME.com/college. And you're going to get $20 off your purchase now at skylightframe.com/college. Get ready to tackle NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers, you can bet $5 and you're going to get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats. You can view all the live play-by-play. And if you want to place another bet, guess what? You're there. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, take a drink of water here. All right, let's move on now. So, told you we're going to talk a little bit about attitude and discipline. Mentioned a little bit in the first segment there. When it comes to this week's rivalry game against the UCLA Bruins, I think the team that plays with an attitude but also stays disciplined, they're going to have the upper hand. Don't disagree. I mean, it is what it is, right? It's cliche, but it's one of those golden rules. Like everyone out there, like most of you Trojan fans, I've been pulling my hair out throughout the season, especially when it comes to USC's offensive line. Illegal procedure penalties. You know what I'm talking about or who I'm talking about. But let's be honest, for the most part, I think the offensive line and the team in general, they've been pretty good, right? The offensive line, they've gotten better as the season's gone along, at least in my opinion. I don't recall too many holding calls. Not that the Big Ten really calls that penalty anyway, so whatever. But as a team, look, they're not anything close to being perfect as far as the penalty department is concerned. They tend to lose their heads every now and then. I mean, last week or 2 weeks ago, Greedy he tried to throw a player's helmet into the stands up there at Washington. I don't know what he was thinking at that moment. Last week at home against Nebraska, the team had 3 15-yard penalties, a couple of them unsportsmanlike conduct. Jide Abasiri had an illegal hands to the face. I can deal with that. You don't want to see it, but it happens. But again, I think for the most part, USC has been pretty disciplined throughout the year. Now, UCLA, on the other hand, not so much. They take a lot of dumb penalties. And this isn't me just slinging mud. You don't believe me? Go ask Bruin fan. And you heard how I said it, Bruin fan. There's not a lot of them. So you kind of just lump them all together into one. Go ask the one, and they'll tell you, yeah, they're stupid. They make a lot of dumb mistakes. And the numbers back it up statistically. In fact, nationally, UCLA is one of the highest penalized teams in the country. They rank 123rd out of 133 teams. Where's USC? They're an average team. They rank number 57. The Bruins average over 8 penalties per game, 8.2 penalties per game, and close to 70 yards, 69 yards per game. Trojans, 6 per game, 50 penalty yards per game. And now, when the opponents play each other, so when the opponents play USC, that other team will commit 6 penalties per game, but they're only penalized for 46 yards. So they're not making dumb penalties. It's usually the 5-yard variety, maybe a 10-yarder thrown in there. What about UCLA's opponents? 5 per game, 42 yards. That's who USC needs to be. That's the benchmark right there. 40 yards or less. That's how many penalty yards I want to see applied to USC this week when they're playing in the Rose Bowl against UCLA. Trojans, look, they have to stay disciplined. They cannot let the Bruin players get under their skin. Don't play down to their level of stupidity. I mean, isn't it kind of ironic? Remember on yesterday's episode of Locked on USC, I talked about how UCLA's head coach, Deshaun Foster, talked about intelligence and being smart, yet it's his players that make the dumb mistakes more than USC's. I thought that was funny. Now, with that being said, I want to see USC's team play discipline, play with an attitude, but not make a lot of dumb penalties. Don't make any dumb penalties. Get under the Bruin skins. Make them do stupid stuff. So I want to see some fireworks Saturday night. I like what Taylor Mays said on the Trojans Live radio show the other day when talking about the USC-UCLA rivalry. He was talking about discipline and attitude, but he was also talking about how, the rivalry games and traditions kind of getting lost right now with the way college football's moving. But Taylor really loves the USC-UCLA rivalry, and he's not even from LA. So he talked about, what's important in this game, what you have to do. And at the very end, it was great. So you have to do all this. You gotta be disciplined. You gotta have the right attitude. You gotta play in the moment. But then he said, but you also want to go out there and slam their face in the ground. It was just such a Taylor Mays moment. Love that guy. You look at Taylor today, and you're almost like he could put on a uniform and still play. He does not look like he's aged a day since he left. So here's the thing. Look, if USC fans have to wait all day for a 7:30 p.m. kickoff at the Rose Bowl, if they're going to make everyone wait all day for 2 average teams to play in a semi-filled Rose Bowl, not sure what the crowd is going to look like. I want to see the teams almost get into a scuffle. I said almost. In fact, I want them to pretend they're doing a version of West Side Story, right? That gang fight when no one touches anyone? Some of you might have to go look that up on YouTube. So I guess this is, whatever it takes to get the crowd juiced up, right? There's always been those little there's always been a moment between USC and UCLA during the game, before the game, at the end of the game. I think what's going to come down to whichever team makes the least amount of boneheaded plays, right? So which team goes full potato? Who maintains their discipline, their attitude, stays within the moment, but who's slamming, who's facing to the ground at the end of the day? It's got to be USC. The way USC played last year at home against UCLA, it's that time. It's weird. The last two times UCLA's played at the Coliseum, they've beaten USC. Conversely, USC's done the same thing to UCLA at the Rose Bowl. What's going on here? This is why both teams wear their home jerseys. That's something else that Taylor spoke about. He's absolutely right. It's a special, special game. It's not USC versus Notre Dame, which is at a whole nother level of special. But USC, UCLA, still special. Still all about LA. Still about the victory. Still about that victory bell. Need to paint that thing cardinal again. All right. Got a couple of recruiting pieces of information we're going to talk about next. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to everyone. You just pick more or less on at least two players, and you've got a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states, including those of you who live in the states of California and Florida and Georgia and Texas. Now you too can win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. PrizePicks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, so your lineups stay in play. So even if one of your players gets injured, if your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, PrizePicks keeps your lineup live. PrizePicks puts your members first. So they put all of their members first. So all withdrawals are fast, they're safe, and they're secure. When your pick hits, you can get your money back in as quick as 15 minutes. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Sign up today. Get $50 instantly when you play $5. PrizePicks. Run your game. What is the F word we like to use when it comes to recruiting? That's right. Fluid. Remember the other day, my everydayers do. Remember the other day when I said offensive tackle Carday Smith would eventually decommit? You know, he finally pulled the trigger. Did it Wednesday. Yeah, he's done. He's not part of the USC class anymore. I'm not sure he really ever was. I think USC was a placeholder for him. My opinion. You don't have to agree with it. He was an offensive line prospect from Mobile, Alabama. And here's why I make that comment. At one time, he was committed to Auburn. Then he wasn't. He committed to USC in August. And now he's been committed and decommitted twice. He's going to Colorado. I'll be shocked if he ends up anywhere else. Anywhere else but Boulder, Colorado. Let's put it this way. Wherever Juju goes, look for Carday. So again, don't be shocked if Boulder's where they end up. And the reason why I'm saying that is because Juju wants the best chance to start as a true freshman. And with Fedora Sanders gone to the NFL, he'll have that chance. So just like USC had their quarterback replacement before they let Juju down softly, I'm just going to tell you right now, there's already a really, really good chance that USC has 2 replacements already lined up to take the spot that Carday is leaving behind. I teased a silent flip. I was on yesterday's episode of Locked on USC. I did. That's right. But there is another guy out there who might be flipping to USC sooner than that. This comes from weareSC.com. Scott Schrader has got another one of those nuggets for you. Have you heard of offensive lineman? He's a tackle. His name is Alex Payne. He's 6'5". He's 265 pounds. He's currently committed to North Carolina. Here's the intriguing part. This is what I'm bringing to your attention. Alex took a trip out to the USC-Nebraska game. Alex is a teammate of USC's 2026 commit defensive end Xavier Griffin. Both of them play at Gainesville High School in Georgia. Alex is considered one of the top 150 players with On3. I would say keep a really, 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 4 times for emphasis, close eye on this one. And the reason why I'm saying that is anytime a commit starts visiting other schools this close to signing day, they are on flip watch. I mean, there's there's no other way to say it. Early signing period starts December 4th. We are literally a week and a half, less than 2 weeks away from November ending. And he's taken visits from Georgia out to USC versus Nebraska. Yeah, keep an eye on this one. By the way, I want to just make another note because I don't know if I really emphasized it enough. USC got a defensive line commit, Cash Jacobson. Yeah, this recruiting win for USC is hitting the Sooner community a little hard. They've been struggling recruiting. And when you lose a guy from Jenks, Oklahoma, that's putting Brent Venables in a really bad spot. They need defensive tackles, and USC took 2 of them now from them. Don't forget Floyd Picard, man-child, and now Cash. What that mean? Well, USC already has somebody on their roster by the name of Cash. Preferred walk-on. Now they got 2. Look, whatever happens, USC's 2025 recruiting class, it's not going to look anything like what everyone anticipated. Nothing. I mean, it'll have some semblance of it, some resemblance. But look, that's why I say recruiting is fluid. Everything is fluid in recruiting now, especially with NIL and with the transfer portal. It's not really recruiting, it's bidding. That's what we're doing today. But right now, it looks like USC's bidding is going in the right direction. So that's a positive. And that's how we want to end the show. I'll be back with one more episode this week. I'll have my Friday rant in there. I'll give you my prediction for the USC-UCLA game. So until then, everyone, you know what to do.